Hello and a very warm welcome to the news tonight, your daily roundup of all the news from India and around the world. I'm Tina Jha. First up, the headlines we are tracking this hour. Third installment of Prime Minister Narendra Modi's Mann Ki Baat focuses on the problem of drug addiction. Modi says drug money funding terror. Moderate turnout recorded in the fourth phase of polls in Jharkhand and Jammu and Kashmir. People vote for development and stable government. Cold wave intensifies in North India as Shimla and Manali receive their first snowfall of the season. Heavy rainfall in the plain brings down temperatures. Japan votes in snap polls called by Prime Minister Abe. Exit polls show huge victory for Abe's coalition. And India settled for the fourth place in Champions Trophy, lose the bronze medal match 2-1 to Australia. Bullets that kill our soldiers are backed by drug money. This is what Prime Minister Narendra Modi had to say in his third Mann Ki Baat aired on radio today. Speaking about the drug menace, he said it is a national pain and the society and the government need to fight it together.
मेरे प्यारे देशवासियों, आज फिर मुझे आपसे मिलने का सौभाग्य मिला है.
In the third telecast of his Mann Ki Baat on the radio on Sunday, Prime Minister Narendra Modi made an emotional appeal to the people of the country. He urged Indians to stay away from drugs, saying when a youngster gets into the habit, we consider them bad, but the truth is, it is the drugs that are bad, not the youth. He described drug addiction as a malaise filled with 3D of darkness, destruction and devastation.
चिंता इसलिए हो रही है कि किसी माँ का लाल, किसी परिवार का बेटा या बेटी ऐसे दलदल में फंस जाते हैं तो उस व्यक्ति का नहीं है, वो पूरा परिवार तबाह हो जाता है, समाज, देश सब कुछ बर्बाद हो जाता है. ड्रग्स, नशा वह ऐसी भयंकर बीमारी है, ऐसी भयंकर बुराई है जो अच्छों को हिला देती है.
He even questioned the youth addicted to drugs. He asked them whether they had ever given a thought to where the money spent by them was going.
क्या कभी सोचा है आपने किसी माँ के लाल को मारने वाला, भारत माँ के प्राण प्रिय देश के लिए जीने मरने वाले सैनिक के सीने में गोली लगी है? कहीं ऐसा तो नहीं है ना? उस गोली में कहीं न कहीं तुम्हारी नशे की आदत का पैसा भी है. एक बार सोचिए.
Describing it as a psycho-socio-medical problem, the Prime Minister said society, government and the legal authorities will have to work together to fight the menace. He also urged celebrities from all walks of life to spread awareness on the issue and asked citizens to start a social media movement with the hashtag #DrugFreeIndia. And here is a bit of advice from the Prime Minister for the parents.
बच्चे की 5 वर्ष की आयु तक प्रेम और दुलार का व्यवहार रखें. इसके बाद जब पुत्र 10 वर्ष का होने हो तो उसके लिए डिसिप्लिन होना चाहिए और 16 साल का जब हो जाए तो उसके साथ मित्र जैसा व्यवहार होना चाहिए, खुल करके बात होनी चाहिए.
The Prime Minister started his radio chats, which he calls Mann Ki Baat, on October 3rd. In the first program, he launched the Clean India campaign, while in the second, he discussed the issue of black money, vowing to bring back every penny stashed abroad into India. Bureau Report, Rajya TV.
Over to some election news now. Voters in Jammu and Kashmir and Jharkhand cast their franchise in the fourth phase of polling on Sunday. Braving the cold in Jammu and Kashmir and a Maoist threat in Jharkhand, voters came out in large numbers in several areas. In the penultimate phase, Jammu and Kashmir recorded 49% turnout, while Jharkhand saw over 61% polling.
A vote for change and development. 18 constituencies went to polls in the fourth phase on Sunday, including the state's summer and winter capitals, Srinagar and Jammu. Development after the devastation caused by the flood was topmost on the voters' mind.
श्रीनगर में अभी इतनी ये सैलाब आया, इतनी परेशानी हुई, तो अभी सब कुछ यहाँ तहस नहस हो गया है, तो इसकी डेवलपमेंट जरूरी है। कोई ना कोई नुमाइंदा चाहिए अच्छा, जो इसकी श्रीनगर की डेवलपमेंट करे।
Chief Minister Omar Abdullah asserted he wasn't concerned about the anti-incumbency factor, saying he hoped the people would reward him for the good work done by his government. Patron of the main opposition People's Democratic Party, Mufti Mohammad Saeed, also exuded confidence of getting a majority mandate.
मेरा अपना अंदाजा है जम्मू कश्मीर में पीपल्स डेमोक्रेटिक पार्टी की जो परफॉर्मेंस रही है वो अच्छी मानी जाती है। ट्रांसपेरेंसी, गुड गवर्नेंस, करप्शन फ्री डेवलपमेंट और एक किस्म का माहौल, पीस का माहौल, ट्रेड अक्रॉस LOC, पाकिस्तान से बेहतरीन रिश्ते। मेरे ख्याल में पीपल्स डेमोक्रेटिक विल हैव टोटल मैंडेट, डिसाइसिव मैंडेट। वैसे
In Jharkhand, voters lined up outside polling booths from early morning. 15 constituencies of the state, including the mining regions of Dhanbad and Bokaro, went to polls on Sunday.
झारखंड में सरकार चुनने से ज्यादा हम लोग स्थानीय को चुनने के लिए यहाँ पे बेताब हैं कि स्थानीय MLA हमारा ऐसा हो जो कि विकास का गंगा बहा दे यहाँ पे।
Polling began at 7 a.m. and ended at 5 p.m. in Dhanbad and Bokaro, even though in the rest of the constituencies it ended at 3 p.m. as these are sensitive areas due to Maoist threat. But polling was peaceful with no reports of violence from any of the 15 constituencies, showing the voters resolved to defy the boycott call and vote for democracy.
If you see the entire phase, then the turnout is 61.65% till the time the report has come.
Jharkhand is voting for development and, more importantly, a stable government. The BJP has promised both these things to voters. The Congress is fighting the polls in alliance with the RJD and the JDU. The Jharkhand Mukti Morcha is going it alone after breaking up with the Congress. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
And in some other news now, cold weather intensified in North India as Shimla and some other popular tourist spots in Himachal Pradesh received the season's first snowfall. Meanwhile, Delhi and several areas in other states experienced light to heavy showers, bringing day temperatures considerably low. The minimum temperature recorded in the national capital was 9 degrees Celsius.
Delhi woke up to chilly conditions and an overcast sky on Sunday. Some parts of the city received moderate to heavy rainfall accompanied by cold winds. The cold wave has added to the troubles of the homeless, with many finding no alternatives to fight the chill. Poor visibility due to dense fog has affected rail traffic, with several trains running behind schedule.
हम रिक्शा चलाते हैं।
आपको सवारियाँ कैसी मिल रही है?
नहीं मिल रही है ना, टोक टाक एक रोटी राटी में हो जा रहा है, बस कमाई नहीं हो रहा है।
ऑटो चला रहे हैं तो 2-3 रोज से ठंड बढ़ गया है, सवारी वारी तो मिलती नहीं है ना, तो काम धाम कम पड़ गया है।
In Himachal Pradesh, state capital Shimla and the key tourist resorts of Manali and Sangla received the first snowfall of the season. The mid and lower hills were lashed by widespread rains, breaking a prolonged dry spell.
जब आके हमने देखा कि बहुत बारिश थी, बहुत मन परेशान हुआ कि बारिश में कैसे आ गए। ठंड भी बहुत लग रही थी और जब सुबह उठे हम आज सुबह तो ऐसा लगा कि वाइट चादर सभी बिछी हुई है, दरख्त वाइट हुए हुए हैं, तो ऐसा लग रहा है कि जन्नत में आ गए हैं अब तो हम।
Haryana, UP, Punjab and some places in Rajasthan were also lashed by rain, with the Met Department predicting more snowfall in the higher reaches in the coming days. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
And as the winters set in, they take a toll on the homeless people in India every year. Several homeless people die every year battling the chill out in the open. The Supreme Court has now asked the centre to provide adequate number of night shelters to these homeless people. Here's a look at how prepared is the government this time.
It's that time of the year when homeless people are seen fending for themselves out in the cold on the streets. More often, they do not have access to night shelters provided by the government. The Supreme Court has slammed the centre on lack of implementation of the National Urban Livelihoods Mission. The court has ordered the centre to set up more night shelters and verify the actual number of homeless people across the country. Lack of night shelters mean a lot of homeless people are left to spend nights on the streets. Some are forced out of such shelters for lack of ID proof.
वहाँ की औरतें लोग बहुत गालियाँ देने लगी। अब बोल रही है बाबू तू शादी कर ले, मैंने बोला नहीं, मैं नहीं करूँगी शादी। बोला शादी नहीं करेगी, सेंटर से बाहर निकल तू।
मुझे प्रूफ दो। अब मेरे पास प्रूफ खाली ये बोला था सोने की परेशानी, सुबह तो इधर चढ़ भी जाता है तो रात की परेशानी तो मतलब सोने नहीं।
Most of the night shelters lack basic facilities like drinking water and toilet. People have to pay to use public toilets, and even if they pay up, they have to face inhuman condition at these shelters, filth and mosquitoes besides drug addicts and greedy caretakers.
उसमें कीड़े आ जाते हैं, ऊपर पानी आ जाता है, फिर लेटने की भी परेशानी हो जाती है। वो टॉयलेट का ये है, उसमें कहना कि कोई वो रात 8-9 बजे के बाद में बंद ही कर देता है।
In a question raised in Rajya Sabha on the status of night shelters in the capital, the Ministry of Housing and Urban Poverty Alleviation informed about having 184 night shelters with a capacity to accommodate 14,584 homeless. It also proposes to build more night shelters. So far, government has identified 7 sites. Government also informed about its plan of procuring more plots in different parts of Delhi.
You can't expect a person to be away 30 miles away and walk all the way to do his work, whatever he does. So the night shelter has to be located where the poor people can get some kind of employment.
Unhappy with the inadequate and inhuman amount of space allocated to each person in night shelters, the Delhi High Court summoned the Delhi Urban Shelter Improvement Board for providing mere 15 square feet per person in the floor plans for night shelters.
And each of the shelters should be of 1,000 square meters dimension. And of all the shelters put together in Delhi, there is only one shelter which is 1,000 square meters. Bulk of the shelters are less than 100 square meters.
मेरे साथ तो सरकार है ही नहीं। कुछ हेल्प करे उन लोगों के लिए जो रोड पे सोते हैं, और सरकार कुछ करेगी तभी तो हम कहेंगे हाँ सरकार है।
According to NGOs, the estimate of homeless people in Delhi is close to 150,000. Even by conservative estimates, there are 55,000 homeless people. In any case, the night shelters are inadequate. More than 300 people died last year battling severe cold. This year, the city has already recorded 211 deaths in November alone. These people hold government responsible for these homeless deaths. They say, though the government promises them more shelters, but they fail to execute. Anju Singh, Rajya Sabha.
President Pranab Mukherjee is recovering well after undergoing a heart procedure at the Army Research and Referral Hospital in Delhi. The coronary angioplasty was conducted on Mukherjee on Saturday after he was admitted there with stomach problems and related ailments. After being admitted, doctors at the hospital put him under observation for various tests, during which they detected a blockage in one of his arteries. The doctors conducted angioplasty and installed a stent, a small mesh tube that's used to treat narrow or weak arteries. And the alleged handler of the most influential pro-Islamic State Twitter account, Mehdi Masroor Biswas, has been remanded to 5-day police custody. According to the police, 24-year-old Biswas has earlier confessed that he was handling the pro-jihad Twitter handle that became a source of incitement and information for new Islamic State recruits. He has been arrested under Section 125 of the IPC and Sections 18 and 39 of Unlawful Activities Prevention Act. Latecomers beware. All central government offices have been told to install biometric attendance systems by the 1st of January, and the Prime Minister himself is to keep close watch for latecomers and inefficient employees. Here's a report.
9:15 a.m. The attendance monitoring meter on attendance.gov.in looks not different from the ever-ticking stock market indices. The data comes from simple biometric machines installed in government offices around the country. 149 organizations have adopted the machine so far. All others have to come on board by the 1st of January. The government, including the Prime Minister, is keeping a tab on laggards.
Recently, that biometric attendance system, which has been installed in 149 locations, now it has to be rolled out in the entire country. It is being monitored by the PMO, and DGSND is committed to complete it by this month end, so that it can be rolled out in the country and installed everywhere, and then state governments can also adopt it.
It goes beyond just monitoring attendance and punch-in, punch-out times. The government also has plans to enforce e-office systems that will record work done by each employee on any given day. And here again, the shirkers and the lazy face the heat.
With electronic document management system, what we call it e-office or e-office automation, we can even know, did he really do something to earn his wages or her wages? And if he did it or didn't do it, what are the next that government can do by just simply being digital?
All biometric machines record employees' fingerprints and are linked to Aadhaar cards. Problem is, installation schedules are running behind the January 1 target. There are few certified indigenous biometric equipment manufacturers. Most of the machines are imported from China. The suppliers say they need more time.
इंडिया में है ये टेक्नोलॉजी, लेकिन इंडिया में बहुत कॉस्टली पड़ती है, इसलिए ये सारी मशीन्स बाहर से इंपोर्ट की जाती है, जहाँ पे टेक्नोलॉजी सस्ती है, जैसे चाइना से और यूएसए से ये टेक्नोलॉजी परचेज की जाती है.
The biometric attendance system comes as part of the Prime Minister's Good Governance initiative. Enforcing work discipline is the focus, and these are seen as the first strong steps.
The government starts implementing the e-office system from 1st January or soon after that, individual performance of government employees will be directly monitored by PMO. Will it be acceptable for all government employees? That's a question which remains to be answered. Without a legislation support, can this process go ahead? With camera person Narayan, Raj Kapoor, Rajya Sabha TV.
Right, time now for a short break on News Tonight. When we return, countries reach a climate deal at the UN Climate Change Summit. Welcome back. You're watching the News Tonight. Over to some international news now. Millions voted in Japan today in a snap election called by Prime Minister Shinzo Abe to claim a fresh mandate for his economic reforms. Even though Abe's popularity has taken a fall, his coalition is still expected to emerge a big winner.
Abenomics put to vote. After the recent dip in support for Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe, the nation voted in snap polls on Sunday. The parliamentary elections are being seen as a referendum on Abe's flagship economic policies.
いろいろ景気が悪いんで、景気が良くなってほしいのと、あとこの子のためにも明るい未来になってほしいなと思って投票に来ました。
Voters are electing who sits in the lower house of the Japanese parliament. Exit polls suggest that Abe's ruling coalition has secured a large majority. Despite Japan's unexpected slip into recession, Abe insists that his policies can get the country back on track. But not all are convinced.
安倍さんの政策はずっと行き詰まってたんですよね。アベノミクスがうまくいかないと、これはもうみんなわかるわけですよ。それから外交だってね、中国、韓国、北朝鮮、あるいはアメリカとの関係、ロシアとの関係。
どうやってアベノミクスを成功させるのかなという具体的な出口戦略がないままに今走っているようなので、そこは非常に関心が高いですね。周りでもやっぱり景気が良くないという声をたくさん聞いてますので。
But the lack of a real political alternative does not leave the Japanese voters with many options to deal with the economic slowdown. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
The US Senate on Saturday passed the $1.1 trillion spending bill just days after it was approved by the House of Representatives. The bill was passed by a 56-40 voice vote. It will now be sent to the President, who is expected to sign it into a law. The bill eliminates government shutdown worries by funding most government agencies through September 2015, but the Department of Homeland Security will only get a funding extension through February 27th. Republicans insist on cutting funds for implementing Obama's recent immigration reforms.
On the motion to concur in the House amendment to the Senate amendment, H.R. 83, the yeas are 56, the nays are 40. The motion to concur is passed.
And time now for all the other international news and updates in the Global Buzz. Russia has threatened to take counteraction if new sanctions are imposed on the country. Reacting to the news of fresh sanctions being planned by the United States, Russia's foreign minister said any such action would not be left without a response. Meanwhile, amid the growing tension, US diplomat John Kerry is set to meet his Russian counterpart Sergei Lavrov in Rome. At least 32 people have died and more than 80 people are missing after a landslide in central Java in Indonesia. Search and rescue operations are on for the missing people. Bulldozers and excavators have been deployed to clear the roads, but the search has been hampered by heavy rain and difficulty in accessing the disaster site. Britain's top security committee will ask CIA to hand over all material documenting UK's role in the CIA's post-9/11 interrogation program. The head of the Intelligence and Security Committee of the House of Commons is set to request for the classified information of the US Senate report. British Prime Minister David Cameron had reacted strongly to this report. Well, after a round of marathon talks, the United Nations Climate Summit in Peru closed with a last-minute deal. The UN members reached a framework that calls on the government to submit plans to tackle climate change.
After days of parleys over the text of the climate change agreement, UN members have finally reached a last-hour deal. About 190 nations agreed on the building blocks of the deal to combat climate change.
First of all, and I hope you can support this idea, I think that would be a good idea, if you agree, to call this document the Lima Call for Climate Action. So if you agree, it is so decided.
Under the Lima deal, delegates approved a framework for setting national pledges to rein in greenhouse gas emissions. They have to be submitted at the Paris summit next year.
非常感谢主席的强有力的领导力，使我们这次会议呢，最后取得了成功。也非常感谢大会的所有的工作人员和秘鲁政府，为我们参与会的所有的代表提供了周到的服务。
But environmental activists have criticized the deal as a weak and ineffectual compromise. They say far tougher sanctions will be needed to limit rising world temperatures.
The way that we were able to deal with that issue between the US and China in the joint announcement of a few weeks ago actually ended up coming in quite handy here. And Minister Xia and I were able to offer that language up in effect and it has found its way into this text.
Differences between the rich and poor countries over how to spread the burden of pledges to cut tax emissions caused the talks to overrun by 2 days. The deadlock has finally been broken after 2 weeks of talks, but how long will the wave of optimism last? Bureau Report, Rajya TV.
Well, it's time for us to slip into another quick break. But coming up next, 2 players of the Pakistan hockey team suspended for their on-field behavior. Details after this very quick break. Welcome back. You're watching News Tonight. Over to some sports news now. In a heartbreak for hockey fans, India missed out on the bronze medal in the Champions Trophy today. The hosts lost the third-place match to Australia 2-1. In a tightly contested match, Australia broke the deadlock through a goal from Eddie Ockenden in the 19th minute, with Lalit Upadhyay levelling the score in the 42nd minute. However, the world champions regained the lead 10 minutes later with a goal by Matt Godes. India tried hard to score an equaliser towards the end of the fourth and final quarter, but all their efforts went in vain. With the loss, India failed to match their best result of a bronze medal in the 1982 Champions Trophy.
Lalit, I think, on this right-hand side to give India the goal that levels things up.
And for all the other sports news, here's the Sports Beat. 2 Pakistani hockey players have been suspended by the world body for their obscene behaviour after beating India in the Champions Trophy semi-finals. Mohammad Tawfiq and Amjad Ali were handed a 1-match suspension while Shafqat Rasool was given a warning. The suspension means both players will miss the finals against Germany. Earlier, Pakistan coach had issued an official apology to Hockey India and the fans in the country. British boxer Amir Khan defended his welterweight title with a unanimous points victory over American Devon Alexander. The 28-year-old dominated the fight with his superior speed and footwork as all 3 judges scored heavily in his favour. With the win, Amir Khan staked his claim for a shot at 5 divisions world champion Floyd Mayweather. Bayern Munich extended their lead to 10 points at the top of Bundesliga with an easy 4-0 win over Augsburg. After a goalless first half, Mehdi Masroor headed his first goal for the club in the 57th minute. Winger Arjen Robben scored twice with Lewandowski also adding a goal. Bayern are on 39 points from 15 games, having won 10 of their last 11 matches. Well, today is the 90th birthday of legendary film actor Raj Kapoor. Known for classics like Mera Naam Joker, Shri 420, Anari Avara and many more, Raj Kapoor is known for his unparalleled contribution to Indian cinema. Here's a tribute to the greatest showman of Bollywood. You picture this as we take your leave. Good night. We'll see you same time tomorrow.
या गर्दिश में हूँ आसमान का तारा हूँ आवारा हूँ मेरा जूता है जापानी ये पतलून इंग्लिस्तानी सर पे लाल टोपी रूसी फिर भी दिल है हिंदुस्तानी मेरा जूता है जापानी ये पतलून इंग्लिस्तानी सर पे लाल टोपी रूसी फिर भी दिल है हिंदुस्तानी मेरा जूता है जापानी हर दिल जो प्यार करेगा वो गाना गाएगा हर दिल जो प्यार करेगा वो गाना गाएगा दीवाना सैकड़ों में पहचाना जाएगा दीवाना सैकड़ों में पहचाना जाएगा दीवाना जीना यहाँ मरना यहाँ इसके सिवा जाना कहाँ जी चाहे जब हमको आवाज दो हम हैं वहीं हम थे जहाँ